different time periods, different parts of the world. How did you do that?
Well, I don't think it'd be too hard because I didn't have just that one slave. I had pictures of older people who people actually thought were people who were slaves.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about the people that's going to dig us up
I understand.
in 1,000
like
years.
Like an anthropologist.
In 1,000 years.
It shouldn't be too hard to put that puzzle together.
Think so?
I think I could do it.
Okay.
But it was quite a thought you gave me. I thought about what you said.
Really, yeah.
And I thought about another thing, and I'm still thinking about it. I've been thinking about it for about 70 years. Why am I here? And I haven't come to the conclusion yet why I'm here. I believe one thing, I came here to teach my children patience because none of them have it. But the other, I have no idea. I really don't.
But then you're a heck of an activist too.
Well, sort of, yes. I'll get active
in case
if I have to.
In case you forgot. In case you forgot. You have a sense of justice.
Yes.
Almost as radical as mine.
Yes.
You will march at the drop of a hat and sit on the freeway.
Yes, done that.
You see what I mean?
One of the things we did was my sister had a young man, a young grandson that got killed crossing a major highway because they wouldn't put a light in. So my sister, being a great activist, of course I followed her anyway she said, we got our chairs and we went sat in the middle of the highway. And 5 years later there was a light up there.
Yeah, I remember ever once when I first got cable, I didn't have cable for years and years and years. Finally got cable, and every time they talked about a traffic jam on I-5, I said, oh, it's Kanashibushan, send her free. She'll be there for a while.
Yeah.
And then you marched with Shirley Shivo, was that her name?
Shivo?
No, Shirley.
I didn't. My sister marched with...
No, you went to Washington, D.C.
Yes, but I didn't march with anyone. I went to the march because they had some young people they were trying wrongly because they had did some kind of activism
against the boy. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so I marched there, and yeah, I did that.
Yeah, you did. That was. We talked about that on one of the shows.
But my sister, she had marched with Martin Luther King. Two of my sisters are very, very active. In fact, one of them was the head of welfare rights in Seattle. Two of them, one in the north, one in the south. And they're brilliant women. And gung-ho for the justice, which I came into a family that had that idea. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And don't mix them up and don't mess people over if you know, when they're right, you know. My mother and dad were very much like that. Very much into justice and high morals.
And then you've been keeping up the family reunions?
Yes, we had our last one in the couple weeks ago, the first Saturday in August. And what happened is we used to always have celebrations when someone died. We had so many funerals because our family's so big. So we decided to have some times when we had happy times. So we decided to have a picnic and a celebration on the 1st of January. Would be happy times. And so we had our, I don't know, 100th and something, because it's been going on since 1890, I believe. The picnics, and all the family comes together, and friends come, and we come to Rawls and to the park, and we have a real big potluck, and then all the young ones go up in the woods. And it's amazing, because some of them bring kids from California who've never seen the woods. It is amazing how those young people act. They're just in shock. They haven't seen running water, you know, beautiful rivers and things. And so we just finished that one. It was
I'm going to direct for a minute. Can you see her face?
Yeah.
Okay, because from here it looks like you.
My
face is up there. Huh? You can see it?
In fact, we roasted a whole pig. My brother roasted a whole pig at the picnic this time. It was amazing. 150 pounds. And then dressed down to 130. Then he roasted it in a big roast this gentleman had. And I'm still eating off of it.
Oh, yeah.
And it tastes so much different.
I went to a pig roast one time. They had put chicken in it and everything. And I had to watch it. It took 3 days to cook the thing. Yeah,
it took hours and hours to cook it. And he said it had to get to 160 for so many hours and then down to 150. But nobody got ill, so he knew what he was doing. He said he'd been doing it for many years, but I thought that's so nice. I'm getting ready to send him a thank you note. So we had a wonderful, wonderful time. Nobody got drunk. Nobody fought. That's a switch. We got a big family.
And you traveled by bus most of the time, so you know all the bus drivers, right?
Well, they know me pretty well, but now they just canceled the bus line that I was on. Now they won't know me for a while because I can't catch the bus.
Yeah.
But I used to know the Greyhound bus drivers. In fact, they'd always come and get me out of the line and put me in the front seat.
Wow, yeah.
They still did yesterday because I was hoping my hair turned white finally.
Yeah.
So now I get in front seats. I thought that was so nice. She said, come. I said, why? She said, well, you're an elderly. Yes, I'll take it. I'll take it.
The bus was so late yesterday.
Oh, traffic was horrible.
Yeah.
I just didn't know it got bumper to bumper.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know it did that going to from Olympia to Seattle.
Well, they said the traffic was more congested between Olympia and Portland even.
Mm.
Yeah, and yeah, it was. Now, see, had you came today, today's the day they have the pet parade. And they got all these animals walking around. I couldn't have picked you up today. I couldn't have gotten to the bus station.
A pet parade. We
Yeah,
have a
pet
small
parade.
one, but it only like 15 pets. So your big one is amazing. It has to be amazing. It has to be wonderful.
Oh, yeah,
For those
everything's
little
closed
kids,
from
yeah.
Tomada to downtown.
Oh,
So I'm glad that.
that's good
Didn't
for the
come
little
today.
kids too. It's good for the little children.
Yeah.
So I don't have many plans. One of my plans is to travel more. I want to go to Russia. I want to go to Japan. I want to go to China. Australia last.
When I met you, you was the psychic on premise, or whatever you call that, for the New Life Foundation.
Oh, that's right.
And I was in a program where they tested people like myself, why we were sick and why we reacted to earthquakes and volcanoes and things like that. And there was Susan James, I think
That's
was
her
her
name.
name.
Her name is Susan James.
A geologist from the University of Washington, and somebody else, and then here you were.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
you was
I
on the
remember.
panel
Yeah, I was
to-
on the panel. That's
To
right.
see if we were legitimate.
Yeah, she's taking me way back, boy, way back.
That's when I met you.
Yeah. I also,
1980.
yeah, I went through another one that was interesting, and it was some climbers, mountain climbers from Seattle were going to climb Mount Everest. And so they wanted to know if they're going to make it. So they got about 2 astrologers together, about 4 psychics, some numerologists, and a gentleman from Tibet. What are they called?
A monk from Tibet.
A monk from Tibet. And we all met, but the way they tested us is they had us predict for 6 months of whether at Stampede Pass. And so I guess I passed because they called me in. And it was so funny because it was, I mean, you don't need psychics to tell somebody if they only climbed the mountain in North Bend that it's not quite like climbing Mount Everest. You're not going to make it. You don't have to be psychic for that. But they really thought they're lawyers, business people, never climbed nowhere, except that little place in North Bend, that little mountain there. Talking about going up there to Mount Everest.
So you had to talk to Mount Everest.
They thought they were going to make it. We knew they weren't. But what was really funny was they asked the monk what the mountain thought. And his answer was the mountain didn't care. I thought, but he also used my granddaughter who was a child as energy. He had her sit right by her feet.
Yeah.
Tayana, my granddaughter. And so that was really interesting, but they taped us and they listened to us and they still tried. They didn't make it. I watched TV one day and they were coming down off the mountain. They had changed twice like everybody said they would because they weren't getting along anyway. They weren't going to make it in the winds. The only thing I can remember is when I was doing meditation on, I heard these horrible winds. And I've never heard winds like that.
Now, question is, we just filmed the predictions earlier today. You were talking about horrible winds. How can you compare those two?
No, these winds weren't like tornadoes. It was more. It was like the winds I heard in Egypt by the pyramids, but stronger. It wasn't something that was going to turn into something more than just a windstorm.
So what you're talking about, what you saw in the prediction, turns into something?
Yeah, it's more like it would turn into a tornado or something. But these were just winds. They're very different. Very, very different. Yeah, they're very different. I mean, I could tell their winds were going to get them and they weren't going to make it because it's cold and just horrible up there. The wind would blow them off. Strong, I didn't know, but it was really, really powerful. But that was interesting.
Now, when you first worked as an intuitive, I remember when I met you, you had a license as an entertainer because there was no licensing. I got the license as an intuitive consultant, but you came under entertainment.
That's, yeah.
Now, was the opposition to you back then more than it is now? Or, because it almost feels like we're going back to that time period. You know?
Well, I think that it was much more.
More.
When I went to get my license, they didn't know where to put me. And I said, well, I do palm readings and I do cards and da-da-da-da. And they said, where should we put you? I don't know. You're the business people. Well, let's put you under entertainment. So that's where they put me. But I did a lot of private shows and things, private parties at that time. So it fit. And they'd hire me for entertainment, you know.
We went to Boeing's. Used to do Boeing's.
I did Boeing's. Did the one in Spokane for a long time. And there's one in Portland, show in Portland that's been going on for quite a while. But Boeing's was one of the big ones. Because they had a parapsychology club and they put on a psychic fair. Was that the same ones as Boeing's did? Yes. Yeah. They're the ones that put it on for a long time. Oh, you're talking about Boeing's. In my mind was in Portland, yeah. No, the one in Portland was put on by somebody else that I knew. Then Esmeralda, a friend of mine, had them for a long time. Then she sold her to these people. She sold the show and whatever the list of things to the people in Spokane now. But Body, Mind, and Spirit. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Okay. Now let's go this way. Let's say I'm gonna write an article about you. What would I put there? It depends on what you want to know, what people want to know. What are you trying to inform them on? Well, it's just a summary. Summary of who I am? Let's say an elderly Afro-American woman who works in the psychic field, fascinated by the psychic field, caring, believes in education and discipline. Discipline, yes. Yes, very much. I'm a disciplinarian from the get-go. My mom was, my dad was, my grandparents were, and I'm glad. And my grandkids and great-grandkids know I'm a disciplinarian. With love. Gotta choke them a little bit, you know, so be it. Yeah. I'm not saying anybody else should do it because they may not know when to stop. I knew when to stop because I heard a voice. Do you know what I saw yesterday on the news? Okay. This woman got in a pickup truck and she put the baby buggy in the back of the pickup. And she sat there and she held on to the baby buggy. So they pulled her over and she got this big ticket. And she said that she really didn't know what the rule was on that. And I thought about it. Would I have done that if I'd had to walk in the only place I had a baby buggy? I think I wouldn't have thought nothing of it. Putting a baby in the truck? No. Yeah, truck, pickup, baby buggy. And holding on it. The baby's in the bar, and I would have held on to it. I would have too. Yeah, but she got a big ticket. Well, it probably was no more dangerous than a car. No seatbelt, right? No. But I would have done the same thing. I would have put that buggy in there and held on to it. Yeah, and holding on to it would have made it safe enough. That's what I thought too. When we were children, we used to ride in the back of big trucks, and they weren't protected, and we had no seatbelts or anything. We haven't lost one yet. Yeah, I was going to tell you about that because I think they won the arrest there, or maybe I think that's sad. I mean, it'd been worse for her to push it down the road. Yeah. She'd have held on to it with her life, probably. You know. Well, you know, so many rules change. I think they can go overboard. You know, every time you turn around, something changes. I wouldn't have been able to travel with my children if they'd had seat belts, because I had 8 kids in a small car. In a small car. They were sitting on top of each other, and we used to sit on top of each other to go to show. So, you know, we wouldn't have been able to go to show. We'd had to continue to walk. 2 or 3 miles. So seat belts are okay if you have them, but I don't think you should